Welcome back. Let's turn our attention to the macro picture. The rupee has recovered after a 3-day fall. Bond yields are slightly lower. Lata is here with the details. Lata.
Well, there clearly is some kind of an exhaustion or a peaking off of the dollar rally. It's, either flat or inches below its 114.5 that it had touched. It's like more closer to 14.05. This is also because a lot of central banks have intervened. First, the BOJ intervened, the PBOC has been intervening. So there is a sense of, enough, it has run enough, and there is a bit of a peaking off, maybe temporarily. So today we've seen many of the Asian currencies, or at least a handful of the Asian currencies recovering. The Indian rupee has recovered, so has the Thai baht, so has the Korean won. But we must be aware that there can still be a potential of reverses. The Chinese yuan has still been depreciating, and since we export a lot to that country and import even more from there, if the yuan depreciates, the deficit increases with China. So we have to keep an eye. The RBI may actually prefer a gentle depreciation like the yuan. But for the moment, the point is that Asian currencies, or the world of currencies itself, currency markets, is catching its breath. And there have been no sharp moves after that over the weekend move in the pound. The bond markets as well in India are showing a decent recovery. Already yesterday we saw the 10-year spot yield recover a bit towards close because people had gone seriously short and they were covering shorts. Today we are seeing, the OIS, the overnight index swap market, which is a very, very liquid market, which reflects the mood of the market. Also seeing yields either peaking off, staying flat like yesterday, or falling off. Now, why are they flat? Because already the 1-month OIS is factoring in a 50 basis hike by the Reserve Bank. Now, how much more is there for that yield to rise? Likewise, the 1-year OIS already yesterday was reflecting 6.9. That means the peak repo rate, the Reserve Bank should be raising it all the way to 6.75 or 7. That looks a little unlikely at this juncture. So there was a bit of an overshoot. And today we have seen all those yields also inching down by a couple of basis points. We will have to wait and see because the US yields are still in an upping mode. From 3.79, they moved to 3.82 overnight. So there is still an upward pressure. But at the moment, the Indian yields seem to think enough is enough.
All right, Lata, thanks very much for that. Also speaking exclusively at CNN News 18 Townhall, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said the rupee is holding well against the dollar, adding that India is much better placed than many other countries whose currencies have plummeted against the US dollar.
How Indian rupee, because of the strength of our macroeconomic fundamentals, is holding out well, and the rate at which other currency vis-a-vis dollar has been, rate of fall of other currency vis-a-vis the dollar has been sharply much more than Indian rupee. So is that a consolation? Partly yes, because the strength of your economy speaks when you're talking about your exchange rate. And as a result, we are far better than many other countries whose currencies have fallen pathetically against the US dollar. Now, what is our strategy? The interventions, if at all, which RBI makes using the Indian Reserve, which I think nearly 75 billion has been used, essentially to stop the fluctuations, the severe volatilities. RBI is not aiming at fixing the rate, exchange rate. The government doesn't believe in it. Indian rupee and its exchange rates, the rate is also left to the markets to decide how it's going to float or get fixated at some level. So RBI's intervention is more to avoid the fluctuation. The US Fed's action has an impact on all currencies. So we'll have to only be sure that the fluctuation is not going to be severe. On the one hand, some people do also speak that, a falling rupee also helps. Some people speak, I want that to be clearly understood, that a falling rupee helps in exports. Whether it does or it doesn't, theoretically it may, but in today's condition with the recession outside and demands not really being as adequately as it should be, even a fall in the rupee may or may not help our exports. We are all conscious of these basic facts. We'll have to keep watching.
Watchful of what's happening on the global front. A fall in rupee may or may not help the Indian exports. We'll also get you some other important voices. Listen in to what the DEA Secretary Ajay Seth and Finance Secretary TV Somanathan had to say about the recent rupee depreciation and the impact on the economy.
It is not a concern, and is the view which you are expressing is overblown. Because if you recall that about 2 years back, when the reserves were of the same order, even then the discourse coming out in media, etc., and even by even other informed persons, was that we have adequate reserves when they were 2 years back. Now, yes, there has been a depletion because of the inflows have come down, and at the same time the trade deficit at a higher level. But I don't see as a concern. India has a fairly large reserves.
It's an international phenomenon, nothing peculiar to the rupee. It's dollar rise, not rupee fall.
So, but is that a worry for you?
No.
As we slip into a break, here's some great news for investors. You can now track the U.S. market action real time on Money Control